Also, within the last few minutes, we have confirmed Delta is waiving fees for changes to international flights from now through March 31st due to coronavirus concerns. Meanwhile, NBC News expects President Trump to soon issue an infectious disease emergency declaration. So what does that mean? Under the Stafford Act, FEMA would be allowed to bring in extra money, supplies, and people to help the U.S. with the coronavirus response. That means FEMA could provide medical assistance teams, mobile hospitals, and military transports, among other aid. NBC reports FEMA currently has about $34 billion in disaster relief funds. FEMA, which also falls under Homeland Security, is coordinating its efforts with the Department of Health and Human Services, which oversees the CDC. We have an entire section with everything you need to know about the coronavirus available for you on our 11 Alive app, including the latest advice on how to prepare and protect yourself.